On Thursday, Team Palin held a screening of the new documentary, which is titled The Undefeated, the soon-to-be-released propaganda film about Sarah Palin.
Unlike many states, the governor in the state of Alaska is a CEO for the state. When the Constitution was written, the founders decided that we needed a CEO, one person that would be responsible.
Philip Rucker, national political reporter for The Washington Post, attended the screening of the movie by its director, Stephen Bannon, and he joins me now from New Hampshire. Thanks very much for joining me. What did you make of that movie that you saw last night in Washington?
You know, Lawrence, it was interesting. The film is professionally done. It's about 2 hours long. It's a documentary, but there's not a single dissenting voice there. There were more than a dozen key characters throughout the film who were interviewed, and they were all her supporters or even some of her staff from the governor's office or people in the state legislature who had worked with her to pass legislation. And the film really focuses mostly on those years before she got the call from John McCain asking her to join the ticket in 2008. It focuses on her rise as mayor in Wasilla, tries to demonstrate that she was sort of a CEO-type figure there who was really able to roll up her sleeves and get things done for the people, and then showed her rather truly remarkable win in that governor's race. You know, she knocked off the sitting Republican incumbent in the primary and then beat out former governor, Democratic Governor Tony Knowles in the general election and won that race. But the movie really leaves out a lot of the more controversial aspects of her tenure. There's no reference at all to Troopergate, which is that scandal that Michael was talking about a few minutes ago. There's no reference at all to her family, to some of the dramas within her family, no reference to Bristol's pregnancy. And there's also no reference to what happened at the end of that 2008 campaign, where some of her rallies became really heated and she was criticized for rhetoric that some viewed as hateful. And there was really no reference to the fact that her ticket lost in that 2008 election. So it's very much a documentary that's presented as the kind of movie that the candidate, if she were to run for president, would want to present to the country.
Well, when you call it The Undefeated, it's hard to get into the actual vote count of the 2008 election. It kind of gets in the way of that title. Philip, the New York Post, which is owned by Sarah Palin's employer, Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News, the New York Post review said this: its tone is an excruciating combination of bombast and whining. It's so outlandishly partisan that it makes Richard Nixon look like Abraham Lincoln. That's as friendly as the reviews are going to get, it seems like, at this point. And, Philip, you were on the bus tour, the recent Palin bus tour. You've seen Team Palin up close. It seems to me that they are a very coordinated bunch, that it's no accident that this movie was screened last night, knowing that the emails were coming out today.
Well, I have to say that there was no representative of Sarah PAC, that's her political action committee, at that movie screening, and indeed the film's director said that Sarah Palin's political action committee has no involvement with the film financially, had no editorial control over it. That said, Steve Bannon, who's the director and producer of the film, he said he came at this with a perspective. He thought, he even likened himself to Michael Moore. He said he has an objective here, and it's to present a narrative, a positive narrative of Sarah Palin's tenure as governor. He said she was one of the most accomplished governors in his mind out of any state in the country. And he even points to some poll numbers which are really stunning. Looking back at it now, she had an 80% approval rating at one point in Alaska. She won with a huge majority of the vote there. This was all before that 2008 presidential campaign, of course.
Well, I have to say I know Michael Moore, and I'm afraid this filmmaker is no Michael Moore. Philip Rucker of The Washington Post, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.